Are you a scaling SaaS founder?
Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those you don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where freedom isn't free. And we're incredibly grateful for the sacrifices made by our military members, veterans, and their families. All gave some gave all. Huge, huge respect. Happy Independence Day, y'all. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. I help B2B SaaS founders like you grow from traction to scale. Here, growth is more than just numbers. It's about crafting a future-proof company, premium valuation, and leaders who build a business of significance while living epic, adventurous lives. Ever find yourself physically on vacation, but mentally still at work? Well, part 2 of our series here on freedom will show you how to truly disconnect and be present so that you can enjoy time off to the fullest. In my last video, I talked about the importance of taking time off as a leader for yourself, for your team. And this one, we're really focusing on how to delegate effectively and mentally let go so that you can fully recharge without trying to be in two places at once. You know, taking time off is one thing, but another challenge altogether is, trying to be in two places. And many leaders struggle to switch off their work brain, even when they're on vacation. The constant urge to check emails, fear of missing out on important decisions, and the feeling that, they have to stay in control, that all makes it really difficult to relax. And this mental tug of war prevents you from reaping the full benefits of your break and can leave you more exhausted than before. We don't want that. So how do you delegate effectively and mentally let go? The struggle is real. And here are 2 of my own experiences with this. The first one is the happiest place on earth, Disney World. And I was there with my family on vacation, and we got there really early, special passes, be able to get in and get to all the stuff before everybody else in the crowds get there. And then I spent 90 minutes in the parking lot, sitting in the car with everybody there, on the phone with a client who was complaining about who knows what. I don't even remember what it was. But 90 minutes, and they were very, very patient. And at the end of that call, I was frustrated. It absolutely sucked. And it's just one of those times where something has got to change. I cannot do this again. And, do I just burn it all down and we just kill the business and not do this anymore? This is the point where I did not want to do it anymore. I was done. I'm not going to live like this. And it was a turning point for me. And, everybody was really, really patient. But, it was just one of those times where it was okay, no more. And that was an absolute turning point. And last time I talked about some specific strategies for disconnecting and recharging without fear. And we'll link to that video here if you missed it. But just a quick recap. One was to prepare your team and delegate well. That was 1 and 2. Tell them that you're out, assign a point person. Knowing that somebody reliable is in charge can help ease your mind. And remember, we talked about the fire blood rule. Works like a champ. If you don't know what that is, go back and take a look. Third, I guess, was setting clear boundaries. So things like setting up an out-of-office email response and make it clear that you're not checking emails or messages. And that helps manage expectations and reduces the temptation to stay connected. Hey, I am completely not available. And people respect that. One that we didn't talk about that I think is a good focus here is really practicing mindfulness and presence. Once you're on vacation, just practicing mindfulness techniques to stay present. Engage in activities that you enjoy that require your full attention. Whether it's, reading, hiking, spending time with family, doing stuff. We do all sorts of fun things as a family. Scuba diving, one of the things that we do with my wife and, a couple of kids. Go out and do that. That takes full concentration, especially when you chasing kids around the ocean. But think about that. A mindfulness exercise. It could be deep breathing, could be meditation. Anything that can help you stay grounded and in the moment, but just really fully focused and being there. The second story was another trip where my family and I went to the Bahamas. And this is after putting a lot of these things in place and really just enjoying our time. We've got tons and tons of scuba diving there. It's one of my favorite places. And literally disconnected. maybe checked in once a week. But nothing serious. But it was an outstanding time, one of the best trips. And toward the end, I added on a week to meet up with a group of other founders. And I love to do that in really cool places. We talk strategy and work on business stuff. But the real magic is in doing lots of fun things and crazy things together just as humans. Scuba diving, ninja school, samurai school, ninja school. It's kind of fun. Masterminding on a bullet train, on a boat, hugely valuable. And so, we're 2 days into a week of hanging out, and this is my fourth week away. And in between days 2 and 3, three different founders come to me and they're like, dude, I've got to go. I got to change my flight. I got to leave early. And we kind of talked through it a little bit. And they're like, hey, business is falling apart. We're losing deals. This fire is burning. Things are just spinning out of control. I got to go. Yeah, it's like, I feel like I'm turning my back on a toddler when I'm away. I'm like, hey, I get it. None of those three were my clients, or I probably would have tied them to the dive boat and made them stay. Yeah, throw them in a trunk. You're not going anywhere. But all I could do is say, I get it. I've been where you are. I understand that, and it completely sucks. Let's fix it. And over time, we had the conversation, and over time, a couple of them, just kind of did their own thing. One of them actually came back, and we started working together, and complete transformation. The other two, the companies, didn't end up making it too much longer. So I mean, did it matter if they went back? I don't know. Maybe not, if things were that bad. And that's not to say that if they'd worked with me, then it would have been different. I think anytime somebody has to close a business, it's a tragedy. No matter what, especially if there was a possibility, maybe we could have done something different. But taking time off, the first couple of days, it's tough. But by midweek, enjoying it, being fully present, enjoying time with my family. And the crazy thing is, once I started putting these things in place and really started letting go, the business transformed in a number of different ways. One is when I returned, not only was I more relaxed and more engaged, more involved, thinking more clearly, but the team had absolutely thrived in my absence, solving problems by themselves, independence, and growing more confident in their roles. And what that does is it just prepares them for that next step and the next step and the next step. They're growing. And that's exactly what we want as leaders, is we want our team to grow and expand their capabilities. And it's a really good way to do that when you're not there and they have to make a decision. Yeah, and the experience itself just really underscored both of those stories, underscore the importance of truly letting go and enjoying the full benefits of a break. Since that day at Disney, I haven't looked back. That was absolutely one of the greatest pieces of advice I ever received, was wherever you are, be there. And if that's work, that's home, it's vacation, it's whatever, be there. Don't take home to work. Don't take work home. Don't take work on vacation. Wherever you are, be there. And that's something I've really tried to put into practice. So enjoy some time off this summer, whether it's now, whether you're planning a vacation. And when you're at work, be all in. When you're at home or on vacation, be fully present. I'm telling you, you will never regret the time you spend with your family or recentering yourself. There's nothing better than either one of those things. Our founder on Tuesday was Eli Goodman, co-founder and CEO of Datos. We talked about behavioral analytics with privacy compliant data sets, marketing in a cookieless future, and winning the hearts and minds of our prospects in some really cool ways. Our expert guest last week was best-selling author and customer experience expert Richard Wildman. He shared insights on elevating the client experience and the importance of relationships in driving revenue. Highly recommend his new book, 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. I'm literally on my third time through the book. There's so much there to take and implement. Get copies for client success team, pretty much everybody I know. And so you ought to pick up a copy as well. But if you missed either one of those episodes, go back and give them a listen. My guest today is Darius Lahoutifard, a best-selling author and seasoned entrepreneur. He went from being a robotics engineer to a CEO by 28 years old. He is a pioneer of the MEDDIC sales methodology that's in place in a lot of companies today. Very successful. Darius shares his strategic insights and leadership wisdom, lecturing globally in 6 languages. Welcome someone who brings life to sales with MEDDIC sales methodology, Darius Lahoutifard. Hey, Darius, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about your background. You started as a robotics engineer and moved into leadership and sales. What was that journey like?
I started in robotics engineer because I was just good at math from my childhood and high school. And I was just following something that many people consider as the path to go, become an engineer. And by the way, I loved being an engineer. It was not something that I disliked. One thing is definitely I'm very lucky and proud of is that I have never done and I have never been obliged to do anything that I didn't like. So I liked math. I became an engineer. I loved solving problems, math problems, and those years, robotics was a discipline or a branch or a subject matter which was really going to be the thing, even though it's now back, but for at least a decade or two, robotics was no longer something trendy. But at the time it was, so I became a robotics engineer and started working at a several billion-dollar company called Schlumberger, a Franco-American company. I was based in Paris, and just was successful and as a pre-sales engineer, close to sales, but not having a quota, not having to carry a quota. Moved to sales because I noticed that I am the one who is solving the problems and the salespeople are getting the commissions. So I thought that was not very fair. I moved to sales, and naturally, after 2 years of successful sales, I became a manager, country manager, and ended up CEO of that subsidiary of Schlumberger at the age of 28, a company which was making $10 million revenue. And then realized that corporate America or corporate international is not for me. I love startups. I love smaller companies, and became a startupper. And during all these years, either myself, because when you're a startupper, you're the first salesperson in the company and you have to sell to customers, obviously, to bring in money. You have to sell to future employees and so that you can get the best talent. So you have to be convincing, bringing them to join you. And then since most of these companies were venture backed, I had to sell to investors as well, convince them that this is the company to invest in. So sales has always been a center of interest I was passionate about. And obviously with my rational mathematician or robotician background, I was very analytical with sales, and I was curious and passionate about understanding how it works. How do we sell? How people get convinced? And then later on, notice that I'm just discovering something that Greek philosophers and many thinkers during the past thousands of years have figured, and Aristotle has his famous book, The Art of Persuasion, and in which he explains the top 3 things that we need to do in order to persuade someone, which is critical for any successful politician, because politicians also need to sell something, an idea, a concept, a program, and also leaders and salespeople, same thing. So, ethical, ethos, logos, logical, having proof, and pathos, being nice and likable, being having empathy for your audience and people to whom you talk. So that all was something that during all these years I was noticing, paying attention to, practicing, exercising, executing with my teams, helping my teams, etc. And then when 7 years ago I sold my fourth, after my fourth company, I didn't sell all my four startups. Two of them failed miserably, but sold two of them. So the last one was in 2016. I said, okay, now I want something a little bit more relaxed, and what else better than sharing my experience, sharing what I've done. So that's how MEDDIC Academy started, and I started sharing my lessons humbly about sales, and now more recently with a more focus on leadership.
That's great. I think there's a lot more in common with engineers and the way that you approach sales than a lot of people would think on the surface. And I like that, just the curious mind, just that the curiosity and wanting to know why, how things work, how decisions are made. So valuable in that. And a lot of
Absolutely.
times I hear engineers say that, they're not good at sales, but I think those skills are there in most of them. They don't make that connection.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say definitely the brain is there, the talent is there.
Yes.
The skills may not be there, but they can be easily acquired. They can get them very easily if they understand some of these mechanics about the psychology and human that they can easily understand. Then they see how it works and they can apply it. And to confirm what you just said, Jeff, if you look at the most successful companies right now, amazingly, they are mostly, or if not all, top five largest companies, the most successful companies, are engineers who learned leadership and sales. Elon Musk,
Yeah, I like that.
Jeff Bezos, um, Google founders, both of them are engineers.
Sure.
Who else? Help me. Zuckerberg,
Sure.
engineer. So I mean, it's not by chance that these guys, as soon as they were able to see the business side of it, they became highly successful. And most of them, I think every one of them I mentioned in this list, the 4 or 5 persons that I mentioned, they kept their connection to the technology. Some of them kept writing codes very late in their career, or maybe are still doing.
Yeah, but they all learn the critical skills, and that is sales and persuasion and conversation. Really develop those. Well, as a leader, how do you help your team develop that? So initially, you're the salesperson when you start out, and then you want to help build that into your team. How do you develop your team, and then how can leaders best facilitate the team learning the critical sales skills that make them successful?
That's a great question. This is one of the elements of the cycle that I have in my Infinite Sales Leadership course and program, which is starting by hiring the right talent, finding the right talent. Then the second step is helping and coaching and developing and empowering them. And the third step is correcting the issues, fine tuning the team, and then start over and look for another group or new hire and repeat the cycle. So the before getting to helping and developing, you want to find the right talents for this job. For instance, in sales, you want people who are not afraid of competition. You want people who have grit. You want people who have discipline. And there's nothing good or bad about people having these type of characteristics or attitude, but they are just different people who will succeed or suffer in a role. So if let's talk about being competitive. I know that I have always had competition, and competition is not disliking someone else. Competition is actually getting motivated and wanting to be as good as someone who is inspiring or someone is successful. So if you have someone who is successful, or you're in a team with other salespeople, and you have one of the more senior salespersons who maybe have actually a better territory, or for whatever reason, they are performing better than the rest of the team, two possible reactions can exist in the new hire, in a new individual. One is negative, which is jealousy, almost hate, why this, the feeling of injustice, thinking that this is unfair, he or she is doing this and I'm not, I'm a victim. That's number one. And number two is, hey, if he or she is doing this, why shouldn't I? Let me watch them more carefully. Let me talk to them and learn from them. Let me talk to my manager, my coach, my mentor, and ask him, what is he or she doing that I'm not doing? Help me understand what's the difference. And this way, the existence of this successful person in the team is going to be my motivation, is going to be an engine for me waking up every morning and pushing me in order to become a better person, more performant salesperson, and doing things better. That's these two characters are maybe influenceable, but not that much. We are in one or the other, many of us, or it may take a lot of time to do that. So a good leader wants to start for that. Now, if we are hiring for um, something in admin job or accounting, this competition doesn't matter. There is no competition in most of these jobs. So that person is perfectly a great hire for that type of job, but not for sales. Even marketing in marketing teams, they don't need to be competitive or have what I just described as a characteristic or as a character or attitude, but sales have to. So number one is in the selection, in when we are we want to build a team, who do we hire? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, it does. Because we have to get the right people in there that
Absolutely.
we can train, that are willing to have the right attitude. I mean, skills is part of it, but really having that right attitude. And I
Right.
think that you know, really interesting perspective and right on of looking at it as an opportunity to learn, not as a victim of, somebody else gets the better leads, or they have something that I don't. But it's really looking at it of how can I learn what it is that they're doing, and incorporate that into what I'm doing to be more successful.
Absolutely. And then you asked me about what do we do with them. So then the next step, or in the case of a leader who joins an existing team, is okay, I have this team now. I As a leader, I didn't even hire them, but I'm going to help them to become successful. So how do we deal with that? So there are a lot of things to look at, and the first thing is to assess the team, to go through, spend one-on-ones with each team member, so that you make that assessment. And some of them you would rehire them again. and that's the beginning. Some of them you won't, and for those, let's go and help them. So analyzing what's not working. So going with them, going through what didn't work in the past quarter, what didn't work in the past month, where did they fail? And then what I like is always asking them, what is the reasons you think you missed this? Instead of telling, okay, you missed this, that's the reason, go do this. I don't like that. I prefer listening to the person's own analysis and then helping them. You may know the answer, but don't give it. Listen to them. And then among the reasons that they will enumerate, buy or don't buy the reasons based on your experience of leaders. For instance, if someone has missed their the quarter and they didn't make their goals, and you ask them, so what do you think is the reason? And the number one reasons comes as, I didn't have a good territory, or I didn't have a good list of accounts. Don't buy them. Smile nicely and say, come on, I've done this for many years. That's not the reason, and here's why. Convince them so that they can understand. And of course, the territories need to be fair, but they will never be 100% identical. And show them that this is not the reason, and so that they get out of that victimhood or finding excuses, because this is an excuse. So and then the relationship, the one-on-one between the leader, the coach, the mentor, and the individual contributor is built that way. They should learn that they can't BS you. They can't just say something like that. You want to go to the heart of the problem. And if they come up with something like, hey, I've always been performing the past couple quarters, I had personal issues, and these are some of the aspects of that personal issue, the leader needs to be understanding, needs to be accommodating that matter. It's rare, but it can happen. So I'm giving a different aspect of what can come up. But most of the time, hopefully this goes back to their activity, to what they are doing, how often they are doing things, quantifying the activity. One of the key things, and that's also for anything in sales, the MEDDIC, the M of MEDDIC stands for metrics. And that's the rational mind, again, of an engineer trying to quantify things. So if we're talking about the territory, go and quantify the number of addressable market in this territory and compare those numbers so that you have facts. And if it is about, if both are considering, both the leader, the coach, and the individual are considering the reason for the missing targets is, for instance, lack of activity, go through the numbers and how many prospects have been contacted, how many meetings did you actually have, and compare them to some of the more successful members of the team, and be transparent about this. Hey, he or she is doing 3 times more. And why do you wonder they are making 3 times more numbers in terms of revenue? So analyzing with them the reason, and then helping them with showing the way by putting their feet on the ground and accompanying them on calls. If it's in person, literally accompanying them to the customer and watching them and helping them and doing this together with them and showing the example. Showing this by asking the right questions to the prospect, or saying the best way to presenting your product or solution. If it is virtual, go on those Zoom calls or video conference calls with them. The worst leaders are those who sit back and just ask for results. And sadly, a lot of managers are used to just give goals, and some of them are not even very good at articulating the goal. They don't even clearly say what I'm expecting from you, but assuming that they do that, once they have done that, they can't just give goals and sit back and at the end of the quarter, at the end of the month, or at the end of the week think, oh, good, oh, bad. That's obviously not leadership.
Ready to dominate your market and skyrocket your revenue? Dive into Small Fish Big Pond, building a world-class business that swims circles around competitors. This book is packed with powerful marketing and leadership lessons, guaranteed to transform your business and operate world class. Small Fish Big Pond delivers proven strategies to sharpen your marketing message, deliver unmatched value to your clients, and guide your prospects' buying journey to one inevitable conclusion: that your company is the only solution for them. Inside, you'll find step-by-step frameworks and time-tested growth principles to attract your ideal clients, convert them, and transform them into your passionate brand ambassadors. Get your copy today in print, ebook, or audio at smallfishbigpond.com, on Amazon. Plus, remember, every book sale supports charity, so dive in and make a difference.
Right. Yeah, it's so important to stay involved throughout that entire process. And as you transition from is a CEO in a startup, a lot of times, like you said, you are the initial salesperson. And then as the company grows, you transition out of that role and bring on more people. At what point have you seen that success in the CEO transition into, I think we're always in sales, but a less of an active sales role? And then, how do you make that a smooth transition?
That's a great question, Jeff. I use the words hands-on and hands-in, and
I like that.
Yeah, and most leader gurus or most leader trainers are 100% for delegating and having the team taking over. I am mixed about that. I think that some sort of involvement could be interesting, and it depends on the characters, of course. Obviously,
Sure.
no one is recommending micromanaging anything, but being hands-in, because sometimes if you are only looking from the above, you cannot help, you cannot understand. That's one reason. The second reason is that most CEOs and most leaders have their own personality, and they are much more efficient by their vibe, by their personality, by their charisma in doing something. Let me give you just one example. Elon Musk, he tweets a lot. He tweets maybe 3-4 times a day. And once in a while, it's a literally basic sales tweet. At the end of the quarter, 3 days before the end of the quarter, he tweets on Tesla orders asking prospects, please accept your delivery today so that it counts in our quarter. It reminds me of very aggressive salespeople who are giving incentives to their clients, saying, if you buy before the end of the month, you get 5% discount or whatever, which I absolutely don't approve as a sales, but that's another story. My point here is that even a CEO with a CEO of the size of the caliber of Elon Musk and the size of Tesla can still be a very sales-oriented person and doing actually sales themselves.
That makes a lot of sense, and providing that executive sponsorship on bigger deals. So just the leadership, being involved, being accessible.
Absolutely. In my sales courses, I encourage salespeople what I usually say is that a salesperson in an enterprise situation, in B2B high-end sales, they are just they're like playing cards, and they have a lot of cards in their hands. One card is the product. One card is the company and its reputation. One card is the team, sales engineers and consultants who are helping the salesperson to sell. One card is the customer success team, so that they can leverage the value of their customer success once this prospect becomes a client, so that the clients see that they are not abandoned and they will be followed with a fantastic team. Things like that. So there are different cards. And I tell them, usually you have also one card is your leadership. Your leadership is certainly someone impressive, someone who is attractive in a business side to be involved in your sales. You should be lucky to involve your head of sales or CEO in a big account because they are not that busy. While, as you may know, a lot of salespeople don't do that. They try to just keep it for themselves. And sadly, the reason for that is lack of confidence, because they are scared that they will be criticized in the way they are running that account. So they want to have the leadership not involved. So I encourage them to do the contrary. And yes, when leaders are involved, the chance of closing a deal goes up, obviously.
No, absolutely, it does. So as leaders, as we guide the product journey and are moving forward. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of emerging technologies, especially now. I think probably more than ever. How do you recommend CEOs really think about how to make those strategic investments in technology and investments in product, and not just follow trends?
Oh, that's a fantastic question.
Real market needs, I guess, not just shiny objects.
Right. I think that we have started the automation cycles. You're young, Jeff. I'm a bit older. Probably in the 80s, early 80s, or even late 70s, a huge cycle of automation started. Office automation, automating everything, production automation, SAP, ERP, automating the sales automation, everything we want to automate. And now in the past few years, we have even AI, which tries to automate even more. I think some of these have a negative impact. Let me explain. In the areas that we are talking about, sales and leadership, as I mentioned from Aristotle, it's not me inventing it. One of them is pathos. One of the key reasons or key elements or pillars of our success is that human connection. What we are having in this podcast right now, you and me, with the video on, we're looking at each other. We are getting vibes from each other. We are having some emotions in us created because of the subjects that we are treating. This is not automatable in any foreseeable future. I don't see how we can do that. So now back to sales and leadership. This part is a key part of it. The way you are, I mentioned, for instance, numbers, metrics, which is the logos part of that art of persuasion. That the way you are delivering, the way you are describing to a prospect about the gains of your solution, or the way as a leader you are helping your team member on the number of sales calls they need to have to reach their goals, it's not just about those numbers. Those numbers you can almost email them. But in the way you are talking to them, the eye contact, the emotions which are around this, you can make it or break it. So back to your question about those technologies, my first comment is don't do too much. Specifically in sales quota attainment, studies show that in the past 20 years, sales quota attainment, and as a result of that, sales leaders' goal attainment has been going down little by little every single year.
Yeah.
And I have no other explanation than automation. I have no other explanation than loss of skills. We have transformed our salespeople and to some extent our leaders into checking boxes on a screen. They are checking boxes if, for instance, they put the sales process, the stages of the sales, which I'm all for, obviously. We mentioned how this is rational. Sales goes by that. We need to understand those stages of sales, etc. No doubt about this. But clicking or not clicking doesn't make that stage happening or not happening. What makes that stage happening or not happening is the skills and is the execution, is what they are actually doing with the prospect or within a team. And if and you may miss that, you may not properly execute that and come and check this box and saying it's done. And that's a totally whole different story. So yes, watch the numbers, have your dashboards, do your analytics, but don't exaggerate on them. Don't think that you can do everything with that. Focus on skills, focus on the human interaction.
Yeah, it's part art, part science, but it takes both of those. You can swing too far to one side or the other. Science and it becomes robotic, art and it becomes not repeatable. But it's finding that balance between the science and art of sales.
Do you know my motto? What I wrote about this a while ago, years ago?
What's that?
I say sales is science, but sellers are artists.
Ah, I like that.
So yes, everything we're doing is rational and has a mechanism, has a process, no doubt about this. But the way you apply it and execute it is not that much scientific. It needs to be art. Now we can, again, with the techniques and methods, we can help that, influence that, but there's always a little bit of chemistry and a little bit of salt and pepper. Just when you prepare a great salad, you need those condiments properly.
Well, I mean, application is something that you spend a lot of time on because it's not just theory. And a lot of the courses out there are very theoretical and not practical. But you've built high-end sales courses, leadership courses, sales leadership specifically around that, and tried to make it extremely practical. How things actually work, how to do things in the real world. Tell me a little bit about that and how that works.
Great point. So, if we look at, and I noticed that in very early in my career, I wanted to hire a salesperson that was in France, but it's exactly the same thing in the US. And they and in France we have École de Commerce, which literally means commercial school, a business school. And you would think that if you want to hire a good salesperson, you would go and hire them from a good business school, and you hope that they have been taught these sales techniques and how to sell. And I was shocked to learn, and that's decades ago, that they have no idea, nothing about sales. Not even the very basic, discovery, analyzing the prospects, asking questions, qualification, nothing. And many players, sales training companies have been built in the past few decades, including mine, where we complete this part of the education. And even now, 20 years, 30 years later, we still don't have the same practical sales schools like MEDDIC Academy or other similar companies, sales training companies. None of our curriculum or content is taught in universities. Still not. Somehow they are not interested. but the market, if you look at the job announcements, what they require is absolutely not an MBA or a business degree from a certain university. They may require a 4 years college degree, for instance, but that's just to validate the personality. They don't care about that degree itself or what GPA they got. They want to see someone able to start a program and finish it. That's what it is in that 4 years college requirement when it is. But you will see, and you can check it out by saying MEDDIC jobs, Google MEDDIC jobs or MEDPIC jobs. You will see the number of companies who require that the candidate knows MEDDIC and MEDPIC. And a lot of our subscribers at MEDDIC Academy are job seekers or someone who have started an interview or has applied for a company and they have an interview coming up. They want to learn MEDDIC within hours in a day before going there. And I don't complain about that part of the business. So we see that teaching or the academic part of these practical things are not getting into university. Now, for leadership is even worse. I soft launched Infinite Sales Leadership a month ago, and the reason I created it is the following. In the past 7 years, I am delivering a lot of workshops in enterprise sales, groups anywhere from 20 to 300 in a room, and we interact with each other. And some of them are virtual in a video conferencing. And obviously, within these environments, there are sales managers and sales leaders. Chief revenue officer are involved. And I am seeing them at work. I'm seeing them, how they react. And some of them are not even participating actively to the session. And some of them leave this to their HR or learning and development managers to train the salespeople as if it's something apart. That told me, okay, this is one of the reasons that quota attainment is getting down, because they are not taking ownership and accountability for their team. They should be there and watching. This is just one example showing the surface of the problem of sales leadership not being close to their teams, and leadership not being close enough to their teams, and not helping them and not understanding their problem. And then obviously interacting with them. And of course, this is I'm giving an extreme example to make my point. Thankfully, not everyone is like this, and there is a wide spectrum from the example I mentioned up to amazing, wonderful sales leaders who are models, inspiring sales leaders. So, but the average is going down. The average, from my observation, is not in the right direction. Leaders who have been transformed into box checkers, Salesforce dashboard watchers, instead of real coaches who are going hand by hand together, fighting and improving and getting the deals done. That's why I created this course, and the way I did it is the most practical thing. I try to not repeating something that you can obtain on social media or by watching a lot of nowadays even free courses at Ivy League, distance education platforms, but getting into what exactly I have been doing, or leaders that I know and respect, that I've worked with, or that I know from afar are doing. And the good news is that the first few leaders who took the course have given an amazing feedback of saying, wow, yeah, you managed to write it down and make a course of something which we are doing, but no one ever said it. So on the leadership, I think I gave a few examples. One example which helps everyone to understand this is back to the sales, back to the MEDDIC and MEDDIC sales program. To give you an example, I have a module called Say No. Say No is something that great senior salespeople apply. And actually, every person, even in real life, with your relationships, with your loved ones, we cannot always say yes. And there should be
Right.
a lot of reasons why sometimes we say no. This is something that many people know, many people understand, and some people apply. But from there, transforming this into a course, a module, 20 minutes, analyzing it, giving the cases, and then figuring when we should say no in sales, why we should say no, and how we should say no. That is the course. That is something that helps not only to analyze and understand that we should say no, but also what are the moments? When do we say it? And to complete this, I hope I'm not taking too much time. To complete this is there are two situations in sales, so that the audience can get away that part if they are interested or doing sales. One is towards the beginning where we may want to say no, and that's a qualification no, which is basically the prospect is asking for a lot of things that are not a total match with what we offer. And we should assess that if we invest too much time with this prospect, they will not end up buying from us. It will be a waste of our time. So say no at the beginning when you're saying there's a big gap, right? And the second
Makes sense.
moment that we may want to say no is curiously and something which may surprise or shock some of the salespeople, is towards the end, towards the closing. For instance, you have worked for 3 months on a project, on an opportunity, and everything goes well, and you have convinced a lot of people. You have met the economic buyer, and you you see this being closed and everyone is engaged and everything, and then someone 1 week before getting the order is asking for something extra. Can I also talk to that other customer? Can we also have this? Can we have an extra discount? Can we have this free module, etc.? And
Right.
getting into a conversation, for instance, if they are asking for a new reference or something like that, that is going to postpone your order or your contract. So the simpler way to close the deal is say no. So this one is saying no, which will lead to closing. Now, sometimes salespeople don't have the gut to say that. They don't dare saying no at that time. But if they truly know their account, they can, in a nice way, say, no, sorry, I have no way. We have done the best discount possible. We have already gone beyond. We can't do that, and that's a no. Or and not being scared about that. Or if they're asking for a reference that uh, sorry, we have been through that. We have gone there and find the right way. Obviously, the context can be very different in the how, but not doing that. And then the choice that the prospect will have. Okay, after everything here, we have validated them. We have done this. We have done that. Should I take the risk of going all over again this thing just because I need to? I am asking for 2 more percentage of a discount and they are not giving to me, or we just sign. And 99.9%, if everything I mentioned are correct, they will sign. They will just get
Right.
it. So that no triggered an order, a PO, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, somebody who has successfully grown and exited multiple companies, said, 4 and 2 successful exits, which is outstanding. What is some key advice you would offer to other founders looking for an exit?
Huh. Focus on creating value. Um, I actually very recently noticed a group that I was invited to join where their number one goal is the exit. And I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do. Focus on creating value, and the exit shouldn't be your goal. Your VC's goal is an exit after a certain number of years. And of course, you are interested in it. But if you are building everything for the exit, it could be slightly different than creating value. How do we create value? By customers, being customer driven. And in the examples I mentioned, most of them in the businesses that I founded, and within these businesses, by the way, there were different products. I think I have created and launched something like 20 products in my career, and not all of them were successful. But the key here is the customer, is getting value from the customer, and that value is the price, is getting the sale done. That's why sales is that important. Once the value is created, they will knock at your door to buy your company. You will be visible, you will be seen, you will be of interest, and you don't even have to look for an exit in a traditional way of preparing for an exit.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Well, where can people learn more about you and about MEDDIC Academy online?
HTTPS MEDDIC.academy. So the domain name is not .com or like that, anything like that. It's MEDDIC, MEDDIC.academy. And I am on LinkedIn, Darius Lahoutifard on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter, but much less active there. MEDDIC Academy is the best website to reach out to us.
Outstanding. We'll make sure and link that in the show notes. Darius, appreciate you being on the show today. It's a great episode. It's good talking with you.
Thanks again, Darius, for coming on the show and sharing your journey and insights. You can learn more about Darius and MEDDIC at MEDDIC.academy. As always, all links, highlights, resources, and full show notes are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. Thought leaders share, and I'll bet you're one of those. So share this episode with somebody who may be traveling or on vacation who wants to build their mind and their sales while they're on the road. Now, everyone who shares this week gets a Freedom funnel cake launcher. Strap it on, and with the pull of a cord, it catapults a freshly made funnel cake directly into the hands of party guests. Just, be sure to yell "incoming" before each launch. Join us next Tuesday, where our founder is Albert Owusu Asari, founder of Kadana Pay. He is transforming how international team members are paid, making it faster and easier for everyone. And that's great for employees and employers as well. And the next week on our SaaS Fuel Expert Series, we have Jordan Burton, co-founder of Talgo, who provides scalable interviewing system for radically improving your hiring outcomes. Anybody want to hire great team members? This is an awesome thing. So Jordan will be with us talking about that. I will see you next week. Happy Independence Day. And as always, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/saasfuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.